One of the big questions that many people ask when it comes to leadership in an organization is, what is the difference between leaders and managers? And the first thing to understand when answering this question is that every organization needs both. And what's more, there is overlap between the two. To understand why this is the case, we need to understand a little about organizations. In most successful organizations, there exist a number of processes and systems that make the organization run effectively. These, in most cases, need to be maintained and managed by those who work for the organization. And this is where management comes in. And of course, why organizations need managers. However, more recently, there's been a focus on the development and understanding of leadership and its characteristics. And of course, there are crucial characteristics that good leaders work on to make sure that they are leading effectively. In this module, we will look at some commonly understood characteristics of both leaders and managers to give you an understanding of where one ends and the other begins, and perhaps where there is overlap. A good way to build our understanding is to consider a bus on a journey, and all the different people who are on that ride, from conductors to stewards and stewardesses to onboard mechanics and tour operators. In this analogy, the bus is the organization, and the destination of the bus is the vision of that organization. It is the driver's responsibility to steer the bus and drive towards the destination, just as it is a leader's responsibility to drive the organization towards its vision. Everybody else on the bus has an integral part to play in getting to the destination, and everyone always has a specific role to play in doing so. For example, the onboard mechanic will make sure that the engine is in working order to keep moving. The conductor will vet the passengers on the bus, and the onboard steward or stewardess will ensure that the ongoing needs of the passengers are met and that they can play their part. Their levels of contribution or responsibility may vary, just as in an organization, the levels of responsibility are not only variable, but also can focus on different elements. Leaders in any organization are focused on moving their organization from one point to another, or in other words, towards the organization's vision. It is their role to navigate the organizational challenges, to make sure that their path is clear, suitable, and effective in moving forward. And to do this requires a good leader to hold a clear understanding of the organizational culture and a deep understanding of people. And this is where the critical differences lie between managers and leaders. I'm going to go through a few key areas which could be considered to differentiate between leaders and managers. And the first is about mindset. Managers tend to have and need to have a fixed mindset approach to their roles. This is because, as I mentioned earlier, good organizations need people to run and manage their systems and processes. In our bus analogy, the conductor checks tickets. There is no grey area or optional processing. They simply need to check that the passengers have the right to be on the bus or not. They operate within a set of parameters that, until they are informed otherwise, remain as they are. This is efficiency, and managers need to know their job and stick to a set of rules in order to do it completely. Leaders, on the other hand, need to maintain more of a growth mindset in order to keep looking for ways to take the organization from point A to point B. The driver of the bus may need to make decisions on an ad hoc basis. There are no clear set of rules on how to get from point A to point B. The route may be blocked by a herd of goats, meaning the bus has to pause for some time. Or worse, the road may be permanently washed away by rains, necessitating a complete turnaround and alternative choice of route. Leaders exercise their decision-making to keep moving in the right direction. The second point is about what their duties involve. A manager's duties are all about maintaining the status quo, working within the systems and processes that exist in the organization. Our onboard mechanic, for example, needs to know how to keep the engine running efficiently, because without the engine, the bus would grind to a halt and the destination cannot be reached. They focus on administering and maintaining processes and systems. Managers are task-focused. A leader's duties focus on moving forward, moving from A to B, driving towards that vision that all good organizations have. Perhaps thinking of a new or innovative system and process to help that drive and that will support the progress. They don't, however, have to focus on maintaining them. They can leave this for their managers to do. Leaders are therefore people-focused. They understand that without having their team on side, there can be no substantive or sustainable progress. And finally, managers make use of the human resources or people to achieve what needs to be achieved, to fulfill the systems within which they work. They typically have a certain human resource allocation who report to them, and they manage these people just as you would manage any resource. Of course, good managers still consider the human element and work with their teams well, but ultimately their teams perform a purpose, and that purpose is to continue keeping the bus going. Leaders, on the other hand, motivate and inspire people, and they empower them to make decisions. They focus on human capital as a resource to help shape and direct the organization. A skilled leader will accommodate the people in his or her organization by including them all as integral parts of the organizational culture. So in summary, a good manager will make sure that the people in his team understand their roles and responsibilities, and they hold to account through appraisal systems, monitoring, and other such systems, all the people in their team. A good manager will also resist micromanaging their team. They do this by building high levels of trust between themselves and their team members. And finally, a good manager will ensure that they are utilizing their human resources effectively to make sure that their teams are not overworked, that they have the tools to complete their roles effectively, and that they are given opportunities to maintain their skills within their specific roles. A good leader will make best use of the human capital on their teams by listening to their ideas, empowering them to make choices, and allowing them to contribute to overall team effectiveness. A good leader will make sure that through listening, supporting, and coaching, they shape the direction of the team and tread the continual line between the needs of their teams and the direction of the organization. So here is your takeaway thought. A good leader makes a habit of employing people who are better than them at achieving their tasks. They focus on employment as a key responsibility of theirs so that they can get the right people onto their bus. Those people who could do the job as well as possible, giving the leader the role of being able to empower the employee with strategic and structural decisions that pertain to their roles.